Well, welcome everybody. What is kid tech? And kid tech is complicated these days. It's not just one thing anymore. So as we can see, there are games. We have handhelds for kids. Then there's computer games. Kids are still playing computer games on both the Mac and a PC. And then there's kid devices, which sort of fall into this category of video games, and I'm thinking about the leapfrog devices like a Leapster. They have a Leap Pad, and their competitor is VTech, and that's the InnoTab. Websites, yeah, there's still websites for kids out there. So websites is where kid tech is. Tech toys. That's a big growth industry. Tech is showing up in all sorts of places in toys. Mobile is very hot, whether that be in the iOS or the Android marketplace. A recent study says that children's access to mobile media devices is dramatically higher now than it was 2 years ago. 3/4 of all children 8 and under have access to a smart device. But if we look at the subcategory where we get some of the tech toys, they were actually up 18%. So, and that category include tablets. There's a lot of kid tablets and Android at this point. They're all fighting to get market share. And then that category also includes some of the robotic and interactive playmates. But what we're finding is kids are now supplementing gaming on mobile devices as well. 6 trends that I see happening in kid tech. So the first one is kids want to be active users. And my first example is they want to create. And I don't know if you've heard, but Minecraft is a big, huge thing these days. There's a lot of kids who are playing this game. It started off as an indie game, and it's about creating a 3D world. They really want to direct. We're starting to see this particularly in the mobile app world. So Toontastic was a little free app that actually really took off because it's all about teaching kids how to create their own movie. And at the end, they have this incredible, well-developed movie that they've created and directed. Kids want to contribute. And my examples there are, the picture here is, this is Toka Band. Kids are contributing. They are orchestrating in this situation. Little Red Riding Hood by Nosy Crow is an app about telling the traditional fairy tale, but in this situation, they give kids, as Little Red Riding Hood goes through the woods, she keeps coming to forks. And the kids get to contribute because they decide which fork they're going to go down, and they are contributing to what they are playing. Trend number 2 is kids are not afraid, they're drawn to new technology, very similar to what Shelley was talking about, that I think we all have to remember. If it's new and different and you haven't got a clue on how they're supposed to play it, that isn't going to stop them, okay? So in fact, it draws them, right? Part of the reason they're drawn to it is that tech is very compelling for kids. It's intuitive. They also love the moving, you know, the Wii, the Kinect. This is all part of using your body. It's the way they play. Tech is also compelling because it provides a deep learning experience. Lots of times it's complex systems or it's scaffolded so that it's helping them go along. It's recognizing when they're struggling and it's doing things to help them. That's a good thing. It's not passive like TV. They're very actively involved. They're in the driver's seat, as we were talking earlier. They're creating, they're directing, they're contributing. And because it's so interactive, it's just so much fun. Trend 3 is that lines are blurring between real and virtual play. But in the game, as you progress and are successful at doing things, you earn templates on how to create these characters and things in the world so that you can then play away from the video game. Squigglefish, the concept here is that you actually draw a real painting and you take a picture of it with the camera, and then your fish becomes animated within this aquarium, fun aquariums. But again, combining real play and virtual play. Trend 4, social media rules, particularly teens' lives. Facebook isn't going down, just teen numbers of Facebook. And it's because mom and dad and grandma are on Facebook, so it's complicated. I think Facebook can be fun, but it's drama central. Teens think Twitter is hot, and here's the comment. Twitter is mostly just for saying what you're thinking. Snapchat is compelling. Snapchat is one person, so it's kind of like a conversation. Tumblr is a fave because it's about content, not about drama. And then the last one is Instagram seems more private, is the way that teens are sort of thinking about it on Instagram. You can delete a comment really easily and you don't have to live with it, kind of. Trend 5 is that there is this synergy that I'm starting to see between all media. A Scottish professor, and he has done a study about the fact that actually all this multimedia motivates kids to go back to the source material, so that instead of distracting from literacy, it's actually helping kids go back and read stuff. And what happens is kids may come in anywhere in that circle, but eventually they head back to the source material. Kids expect the brands that they are interested to show up everywhere. And the last trend is that mobile's where it's at. Usage of mobile devices for gaming by kids increased from 38% in 2011 to 64% in 2013. Part of the reason is it's easy to use, and now we're starting to see it come into the classroom for education as well as the home for education. I want to share with you some of the things that I have seen over the last year that have been aha moments for me. So let's start with academics first, in the academic area. So the first one up here I wanted to show you is one called Little Digits. So when a kid's finger touches the screen, an animated 1 shows up. When they add 2 more fingers to the screen, they see an animated 3. If mom or dad comes in and puts 2 more fingers on, now we're at 5. And this app actually teaches addition and subtraction that way as well. The second example is one called Dragon Box Algebra 5+. This is a math app that actually teaches kids as young as 5 algebra. Now you say, how can that be? Algebra's taught at 8th or 9th grade. Well, they make it into a puzzle game. It's all about slowly introducing the elements of algebra so that the game is all about isolating the dragon box, the X in algebra. Roman Town is a computer game, does a nice job of combining archaeological information in a game setting so that you are at a virtual dig, real life, but you travel back in time to meet Roman children to figure out why they were using all these artifacts that you're digging up and putting together and creating as puzzles and that sort of thing. So it's well done. It's by a group called Dig It Games. In Noodle Words, the words become characters in this app, and they're all active words. And each time, each word does a multiple fun interactions that explain the word to children. Ansel and Claire Little Green Island, an app from Cognitive Kids. And this is all about environmental issues and teaching children what are the environmental issues, but what I like is it empowers them to solve the problem. So let's look at some innovations in tech about something you may or may not know about called 21st century skills. The first one is teaching emotions. Emotional health and identifying and understanding emotions is an important part of 21st century skills. Here's a group of apps, except for the last one, which is a video game, that does that. Believe it or not, you can teach emotional kids to identify emotions and talk about emotions through apps. Another part of 21st century skills is creativity. A lot of products focus on creativity, which is a great thing. I mean, lots of times I hear the rub, oh, with all this tech, our kids aren't going to be creative anymore. They're not in the backyard. They're not thinking up their own games. Well, they're still being tremendously creative. They're just doing it in different ways, and that doesn't make it wrong. It just makes it different from what we as adults grew up with. So here's some examples. Collaboration is another 21st century skill. A lot of things that kids do together teach collaboration. I know that I have a friend in the audience here, Joy Fox, and she works for a company in which produces the Lego games. That is one of the top games out there in which you can collaborate together, and they do puzzles where you have to actually talk to each other. Let's figure it out. A lot of the Wii U games do that. The examples I have up here are all apps, and they are doing collaboration with people who are far away. And that was a brilliant concept of let's collaborate with grandma and read a story is the first one. The last 21st century skill is thinking and reasoning, great thinking and reasoning skills. Surprising benefit of video games. It can lead to employment. I have a son who started at a consulting company right out of college that is focused on big data. And within a week of starting his job, they asked his entry class, does anybody play StarCraft? And my son Peter raises his hand, and they say, great, you're going to MIT next week because we're going to do a StarCraft tournament, and you're going to Harvard the week after, and you're going to Princeton the week after that, because the kids who play StarCraft are the kids we want to recruit. Why are they thinking about it that way? Well, StarCraft is about data gathering, it's about analysis, it's about trial and error, it's about quick thinking, and it's about collaboration. Does that sound like 21st century skills? Absolutely. They're looking for that kind of kid. So while you think they're just having fun, they are actually building some skill sets that are relevant. Games, at least, are doing all sorts of fun things in relevant, good ways. Remission 2 is a cancer fighting game, and it was specifically made for kids who are having to take cancer drugs, and they found if they played this game, they more willingly took their cancer drugs, which I think is a great idea. Cool School, Where Peace Rules, is a game for little kids, kindergarten through 2nd, 3rd grade, and it teaches mediation. You know, use your words, not your hands to fight things through. And Half the Sky Movement is a Facebook game that deals with women's issues around the world. With the good comes the bad. It just does. There are some uncool kid tech. Here's one, Fisher-Price Newborn to Toddler Activity Seat. This has got the iPad right here. So they're sitting they can't move yet, and we're putting a screen in front of them when they're supposed to be analyzing 3D objects in the real world. I don't like that one. I don't like this one, Fisher-Price Activity Gym. Again, can't move yet, guys. We got the screen in front of them. And here's the last one. That's an iPad with the potty where you're trying to teach them how to go to the bathroom. Okay. So that's what's here's another one. Guess what? That's me. I have been beaten up in this app called Face Fighter. And the concept behind it is that you take a picture of somebody and then you proceed to beat them up. Here's my advice. Put your kids on a media diet. That means manage it, parents. Don't let them manage it. It's like everything else in their life. There's got to be balance. Manage the time spent. Deal with the privacy issues that create, and sit down with your kid and talk about it. Content, what do you want in front of them? Play it first before you give it to them. Do your research, look at reviews, talk to other parents. Don't just assume that they know what they're doing. Outside influences, you gotta manage the outside influences. Teach usage and balance, and that means you don't come to the dinner table with your iPhone either. Remember, they're going to model what you do. So that's part of the parenting thing. And talk to them about stuff. If you don't understand the technology that they've got on their phone, have them show it to you. Talk through it, because lots of times you're going to have insight to it that they don't understand. And that's the process of learning technology together. And the stuff in yellow here is the American Academy of Pediatrics. I always get asked, what age should I start my kid in technology? They say no screens under 2. Here's some resources. If you're looking for a way to sit down and talk about media with your kids, this is coming and supported by the American Academy of Pediatrics. This Media Time Family Pledge is interesting. It will make you sit down and talk about things.